Good afternoon, DeKalb. I am Marita Davis Johnson, and I represent I'm chair of the Ops Committee. My colleagues that serve with me are Commissioner Robert Patrick and Commissioner Ladina Bolton. With that said, Commissioner Patrick, have you had an opportunity to read the minutes for the March the 3rd, 2026 Ops meeting?
Motion to approve 0364.
Okay, I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That item is approved. We're gonna skip around just a little bit today. I usually have my presentations at the end, but I do want to have the presentation on the, hold on 1 second. County Operations Assessment. The County Operations Assessment. So who's presenting that? Mr. COO?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And we're going to be getting that teed up as we speak. I've just sent the PowerPoint to Mr. Miller. But the presentation is going to be led by Ms. Lakeisha Cisse of the Momentum Firm. And what we have is, have we passed out hard copies?
I don't believe so.
No, so we'll make sure to get you hard copies of the presentation because there's about 15 slides. We'll do about a 15-minute presentation with a host of addendum at the back. And so what she will be doing is walking through the progress made to date, as well as where we're going to be going over the next several months and how this will culminate in our plans for 2027, which will be a large part of the implementation of a lot of what's going on. So let me see where we are with the PowerPoint. Okay. And with that, Ms. Cisse will come up and she'll begin while they key up the PowerPoint.
Are we ready with the PowerPoint, or do y'all need a little bit more time?
They may need a couple of minutes.
They may need a couple of minutes. So while we are waiting on them to do the PowerPoint, we'll start with the couple of agenda items. And also, we have present with us today Commissioner Ted Terry, Commissioner Michelle Lone Spears, and Commissioner Ladina Bolton has joined as a committee member. Okay, so the first item that the first item that we will take today will be item 260388. And Mr. COO, just let me know when you're ready. Resolution to accept GDOT tentative allocation of state funding assistance associated with the project for the airfield, crack seal, and remaking of the DeKalb Peachtree Airport. There is a matching cost to the county.
Hunter's on his way.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yep. So the crack seal and remarking project is for the airfield. This will provide some much needed runway sealing and repair, and then also it's been a little while since we've remarked the airfields. This will provide fresh paint for the airfield markings, all for the entire airfield.
Okay, and what is the matching cost of the county?
The matching cost is 25% of the total, which the total was $936,638.45. So 25%, which our matching cost is $702,478.84.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Can you repeat that? You said the total is 936,000 and the match is 25% of that?
That is correct. So
And 25% is over $700,000?
25% is, yes. That's correct, yes. So yes. So I'm sorry, our cost is yes, 234 is our cost.
Okay, gotcha.
Apologies, I got that backwards.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve 0388.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that item is approved. We ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
At this point, I'd like to introduce Lakeisha Sise with the Momentum Firm, and she will walk everyone through the update on the operational assessment. If you'll recall, work was done last year by Malden and Jenkins. We brought in Ms. Sise in the summer to lead this effort, and her responsibility is working with about 18 departments, going through 250-plus observations from Malden and Jenkins and helping us to move the organization forward. Ms. Sise?
Yep, thank you, Zach. Good afternoon, almost said morning. Great to be back. Nice to see you all. Thanks for having me. As CEO Williams mentioned, I'm Lakeisha Sise, Managing Principal of the Momentum Firm, and I'm here today to provide an update on the implementation of the operational review and performance assessment as it pertains to the departments associated with the Ops Committee. We were awarded the contract back in September. Made some promises at that time to ensure we came back to keep the board updated. And this is the second time we'll be doing that. We came in December, and in the Ops Committee, we came in December. We provided written reports to the other committees, but we'll be speaking with them all over the next 2 weeks. We have improved the report this time around. I believe Commissioner Davis Johnson asked us for additional insight and information back in December. So we have pulled out more or details about the status of recommendations and some of the supports required from departments.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a hard copy of your presentation? They're coming. Okay. You may continue.
Awesome. So what I'll talk through today is I want to share some of the new countywide operational goals that we've defined throughout this process. I'll provide an overview on the implementation management process that we've designed and have been implementing, as well as the status of the recommendations and where they stand across the departments that are associated with the Ops Committee. And I'll also provide a high-level report on key insights across the various departments in this committee. The written report that you all received has an appendix where you'll see the more detailed insights that are specific to each department, but I'll spare you all those details socially here today. Okay. All right, so some of the transformation goals, and this is the overarching strategy, as CEO Williams mentioned. We are working and supporting multiple departments in the county with implementing over 250 very different, some very complex recommendations. But overall, these are the goals that we are attempting to achieve with the implementation of these regs. Becoming a high-performing org, optimizing costs and resources, delivering better community outcomes, improving customer satisfaction, and gaining operational efficiencies and embracing innovation. Okay. So beyond just defining those operational goals, we went ahead and also articulated what success could look like. And so these are some of the key results that we're looking to achieve as these recommendations are in the process of being implemented across the board. Some of the things that you might notice or realize this year are our attempts to reduce year-over-year internal audit findings and open issues through this process, improving or increasing customer satisfaction scores, achieving cost savings, right, across major categories where feasible as a result of some of these operational improvements. From optimizing technology, finding opportunities to automate processes, to moving towards a more data-driven government where 100% of departments will be reporting KPIs. Right. This prioritization matrix here is just a reminder that, across the board, again, there's over 250 recommendations and a variety of new initiatives that are also emerging and are being tracked. And prioritization for the purpose of, timeline planning is important. We are focused on the top quadrant, the quick wins and major projects. Quick wins defined as projects or initiatives that have that have high impact but require, low effort. And the major projects, we know that they're extremely impactful but may require some additional effort. Those two categories are the focus of what we're tracking in the roadmap. Okay. This slide just articulates the implementation management process that we have designed and that we're currently managing. Like I said, we're assessing the ongoing progress, convening departments on a regular basis. We're managing change and resistance across the board, and we're reporting to you all quarterly, as well as the CEO. Our research design, right, what we're looking to answer is, we're looking at the status, we're looking at the projected timeline and the rate of progress. We're asking for the reasoning behind blocked or rejected recommendations. We're trying to understand what types of additional supports are required. And like I mentioned, we're tracking cost savings. We're tracking the number of recommendations met across the different categories. This is a dashboard. Let me move this up. This is a dashboard view. We are tracking all 266 recommendations in a platform called Smartsheet. So we've tailored and customized it to this project. And what you're looking at is a reflection of the status of all 18 departments that were included in the assessment. So you'll see the 266 recommendations there. So far across the board, departments are reporting that 59 have been met. There are 11 recommendations blocked, and over 123 require some sort of additional resource to further the implementation of it. Right. Gonna now move on to some of the committee-specific insights for, and this is the combined insights for Animal Enforcement Services, DeKalb 311 Help Desk, Facilities, Fleet, and IT. Okay. So this is a dashboard view combined for the departments I just mentioned that are reporting to this committee. 56 total recommendations here, 11 met, 2 blocked, and over 24 requiring additional resources. More insight. When we looked at the top challenge areas across the departments that are associated with this committee, we noticed governance issues, org structure challenges, and technology limitations were the most common. As I mentioned, we asked about the projections on when some of these initiatives would be complete. And what's an interesting makeup about this here is that a significant portion of departments reporting to this committee state that they are unsure when their recommendations can be implemented. You do see some steady projected progress, across, the months, March, April, May. But, you also notice that there's some, reporting of projects, timeline estimates around 2027 and beyond. What me and my team are gonna need to do in the next month or so is work with these departments and this committee and understand how we could clarify the target deadline dates. We're not sure if the reason why they're not confident in mentioning a date is because of some resource blocking, but we'll further investigate. Commissioner Davis-Johnson, you asked the last time we came to the Ops Committee if there were any other types of things that departments need at the moment to progress their recommendations beyond funding. And so this is a breakdown of that. In addition to funding, they also mention, and this is across the board, cross-departmental support to implement these recommendations, as well as training as the top 3 resource needs. All right, some insights, some qualitative insights. So this is specific to, again, the departments that are reporting to this committee that were included in the assessment. First point is that, we're noticing progress is concentrated in a few departments. So most of the completed recommendations to this point are reference coming from animal enforcement services and IT. Departments like facilities and fleet still have, in this group, the most recommendations marked as not started. This may be due to the need for more assistance executing recommendations, such as the fulfillment of their resource needs. Number 2 is actually an insight that we found. I went back to the data to try to confirm the departments reported it in this way. Knowing that, the budget process is among us, out of the 12 recommendations that were indicated to require additional funding, in this last survey report, which was administered at the top of this month, departments in this committee mentioned that over 10 out of the 12 were marked not approved in the FY26 budget. This may be correlated to why several items are either marked as 27 and beyond, left blanked, or remain not started. And then the biggest challenge identified relate to org structure challenges. That's a loaded category because it includes things from resource constraints to governance challenges. Nonetheless, this is an area that we are prioritizing for transformation this quarter. All right, last point, just sort of a summary across the board. I did, make mention about the departments associated with this committee, but this is just a March 2026 implementation summary. Since December, we are asking for updates in writing through a survey from departments every other month. So this is the second time we have received feedback since December, and there has been an improvement or an increase in recommendations that have been met since December, so that's great. We are seeing that cross-departmental support, additional funding, and third-party assistance remain those areas across the board where departments say they need support. Also, too, many departments were unsure of the costs associated to implement some of their recommendations. So this is an area where we're going to lean in from a management consulting support perspective. And then the last 2 points that I'll call out, let's see. Clear path to completion. We already addressed the budget. So 24% of recommendations across the board depend on additional funding supports. And so there will be a more definitive list of recommendations that can be accomplished this year now that the budget has been approved. Last point I'll make is that, what comes next, when we look at the 10 challenge areas that emerged in this assessment, the top 3 are governance issues, org structure challenges, and technology limitations. And these are the 3 foundational areas where we will be focusing on managing project portfolios and change in this next quarter. So I will pause there just to take any questions, and hopefully you all have the written document now.
Okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions or concerns from committee members? And I see Commissioner Robert Patrick's hand first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, welcome. Thank you for coming back with the update. When you say that there's budgetary challenges for, I think it was 24%, I thought our budget that we adopted was intended to address many of those concerns. Is there a disconnect between what you're needing and what we've approved for the budget?
So this is all self-reported from departments. So they noted that some of their recommendations that they requested budget to support were not approved. So I think we could look at, if you all like, we could, do a deep dive and try to pull out specific examples. I think there's just 10 out of 12 for this committee. So we could do that and follow up with more details. But COO Williams, did you want to, add to that point at all about this current budget and operational recommendations.
Sure. So as it relates to, in any of the requests that are related to capital is something that's going to be coming to the board probably hopefully in the next 60 days. So that's not going to be included here. And I believe a lot of this information was also captured prior to the approval of the budget.
Okay.
So there'll be some reconciliation, but there will be a number, a certain amount of things that were requested in the budget that were not included. And so we will evaluate what's the best way to achieve those. Is there something other than money that can help us address some of these issues? Ms. Cisse mentioned organizational issues. I think there will be a certain amount of reorganization around priorities that's going to help us become more efficient. There will be a certain amount of, quite frankly, centralizing some business operations and decentralizing some business operations that will also assist in us achieving some of these objectives. So it's going to be an ongoing process and lots of conversations that will be taking place.
Is there a, for instance, that you can sort of give us an idea, some insights onto what's being considered for operational changes or things that you think are going to be more in the capital area versus, I guess, what are needed for daily operations? And just from my perspective, reading through on this, I don't believe code enforcement was under ops. I think it was under PECs. But I do remember from code enforcement, there were several items that some of the basic things were just making sure everyone has the same technology, same phones interact with one another. Are those some of the things you're looking at, or just give us some insights?
Yeah, so one of the big things I'll just address as it relates to technology. In the budget, the board approved about a $6 million allocation to replace the planning, I call it planning, but planning code, a number of operations use that software. So we're going to see, upon the full implementation of that, a lot more efficient operation, not only for the internal staff, but for the using public. Additionally, we're working on a software for 311 that would help in the same manner. So, software, when I say capital, in some instances, it may mean software as opposed to facilities and those types of assets. But, all of that will be part of the conversation.
Okay. And I know that in years past, we had talked about the idea of a C-click fix.
Yep.
But since you mentioned
Right.
311, is there at least a thought to the idea of having
Absolutely.
an app that our residents can use to report
Absolutely.
code,
Absolutely. Yeah,
code
as-
enforcement, potholes?
Yes, as we pursue the upgrade for the 311 software, we would definitely have some sort of a C-click fix type of component. We're looking at a lot more artificial intelligence that will help streamline certain processes and reporting of issues, assigning it to various business units and tracking. So those are the type of things. And I think, and at some point, I guess in PAX, when we will present on what we're doing in planning and sustainability, you'll see really a complete revamping of how that has been operated.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Zach, and
Yep.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few questions. Where you mentioned some of the efforts were blocked, can you just expound on that a bit more? What do you mean?
Sure, let me see if I could go back and reference a slide or a dashboard page. So the implementation status breakdowns are, it's either recommendation met, blocked, not feasible / rejected, in progress, or not started. So you'll see that, breakdown there of the recommendations that are considered blocked. Recommendations that are reported as blocked are recommendations that require an additional resource in order to be able to implement it. So that's where, if I go to that slide, that shows the different types of resources that are required. These would be the reasoning behind why recommendations are blocked as they are reported through the departments in this committee. So you'll see here, right, it's additional funding, reported as additional funding and a lack of cross-departmental support. And then right behind there actually is a training need. And so that's what I was referencing, that now that the report has come out for this cycle, in our engagement with these departments in the next month, we can assist in any way we can with mitigating some of these blockers and challenges to the extent possible.
And then it's these blocked items that potentially there were requests made so they could be supported in receiving those resources in order to unblock the recommendations.
Some of them, but not all that are blocked because of funding. So I just wanted to make sure I emphasize that. But yes, that's what the correlation is. Blocked because additional resources are required. If there's an inconsistency or a department head believes that the recommendation is not needed, no longer valid, they were given an option to reject the recommendation, and we're taking an inventory. Those are very far and few in between, by the way, the recommendations that are rejected, but we are taking an inventory of those, and the process is to escalate them to COO Williams for final determination if they're gonna stay on the roadmap or not. And like I mentioned, if there are any drill down additional insights that you all want, because there's just a lot of data that we're tracking, happy to follow up with specific examples.
So how is recommendations requiring resources different from recommendations blocked? Because they're blocked considering they need additional resources.
Let me go back to this. So I'm looking at the left circular chart, implementation status breakdown. In the survey that we administer every other month, departments are asked to label their recommendations with the options listed there. So I'm not sure, I see blocked. You said recommendations requiring additional resources, your question?
Yeah, where it says implementation status by department, just above that, the two areas are recommendations blocked and recommendations requiring resources.
Recommendations requiring, yes, additional resources.
Right, and when you were explaining recommendations blocked, that's what you described.
Got you.
It was blocked because they needed additional resources. So just
Fair
trying
point.
to understand the difference between the two of those.
Yeah, there are some recommendations that are in progress that still require additional resources. Some departments have partially implemented them, but they cannot fully implement them without perhaps a new role, additional funding, or the simplest thing that we're trying to facilitate and create better cross-departmental collaboration to actually get some of this done.
Okay.
That's why you see that number a bit higher, to your point. Yes, thank you for calling it out.
Gotcha. And for the items that you indicated, some departments were uncomfortable setting a date or timeline for complete. I don't recall if you said completion or implementation, but in any case, the question is, have those things been started, or is there a strategy to begin them and they just aren't certain how long it would take to complete them? Is that what you were getting at?
We're going to engage the departments now that this report's come out and this month and beyond, and try to get a more clarity on the reasoning behind why they were not comfortable projecting a completion timeline. I'm sure that it's nuanced and it's going to vary, so I would prefer to come back the next time we present to have a more synthesized answer for you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. What I was getting at is, are they attempting to at least initiate them even though they aren't certain how long it would take to do them and the completion time? Are they actively working on a strategy to at least start whatever the recommendation is?
Without looking at the data right now, I would say that I believe many of them still are in progress, just because of the share of recommendations that are already started and already in progress. I would assume so.
Okay. And my last question probably would have to be answered by COO Williams. And it's a piggyback off of what you were just talking about, Commissioner Patrick, when it comes to the budget. When we were having budget discussions, and even now, we didn't talk about, well, at least I asked in ERPS, but we really didn't talk much about what some of those requests were and how they related specifically to these recommendations. So I would like to see that breakdown, and I think that it's unfortunate that we're working through this, but we haven't communicated the relationship between the two. do you plan to share with us or extract some of those items that were specifically related to this project that came out of the budget so that we can be certain we're actively working toward it?
Yes, I think we could certainly put something together and bring it to the board or to each committee once we get to the point where we concur that it cannot be done without additional resources. Okay, so, and that's the first step, and I need to really, Ms. Sase, myself and the departments have not sat and really gone through each of these and vetted, okay, the thinking is that it is blocked or that we need additional resources. I want to ensure that we apply all necessary brain power and additional existing resources, and only then, once we determine that that's insufficient, will we agree that we need additional funds, and we'll present that to the board.
Okay, and not just the initial funds, additional funds, but any requests that were already made, because of course the departments would know they're asking for this because of the recommendation and how you guys have been working together. But when we see it and the way it's itemized for us, we don't know what came out of your office. So I think that would just be healthy communication so that we know we're all actively working toward this project we've spent so much on.
Sure, sure,
Okay.
we can put that together.
All right, thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick couple questions. Thank you, Ms. Sase, for the update. Really appreciate that y'all are doing this because I know it's probably long overdue. I don't know, Zach, do you remember the last time there was like an operational assessment like this done? You've been here the longest. Not just because your hair is gray.
Exactly.
It's gotten grayer.
It's gotten greater. So in the last, did we do one? I'm trying to remember, yeah, okay.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's definitely been over a decade.
Okay. So I imagine that.
And what we didn't do at the conclusion is bring in someone to assist us
To
keep it
operationalize
moving.
it.
Right,
Yeah,
because
and
recognizing
implement it.
everyone
Yeah.
has full-time jobs, so that's why we brought in Ms. Sase.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think this is a really smart move, and I imagine that you're encountering some kind of lingering things that have been built up over the years, and you're kind of having to, this is maybe some departments' sort of first look at why do you do things this way, and what are your SOPs, and so I definitely appreciate that this is very detailed, is going to take a lot of time. So for me, just getting the updates and hearing the progress, I think is great. A lot of it really, at the end of the day, is in the CEO's wheelhouse. So like it's running the administration, the government. So any efficiencies, any productivity that we can identify, I think is obviously our main interest.
Sure.
The one thing I did want to ask, efficiency and then productivity and how those things might interrelate, because my sort of reading of some elements of the way we do things in DeKalb, it's kind of a question of like, do we just need more people? Like, do we have capacity versus sort of just like actually measuring the productivity of the existing capacity? And one thing that we had worked on, I think 2 years ago in the ERPS committee, was studying sort of different work structures, like a 4-day work week, a more 3-2 kind of hybrid situation, with the thought that actually it provides sort of an incentive to come work for DeKalb. Yep. So you kind of have people that are like, oh, I want to work there because they have a greater flexibility in sort of how they work, day to day.
Yeah.
But then the studies that are coming out, to me, indicate that workers in those environments are more productive. And so productivity and efficiency, I think maybe are kind of maybe two sides of the same coin. Are there things that we're just doing that aren't efficient, but then how do we utilize the existing capacity? Because I imagine part of this exercise is, are we able to save money in some situations?
That's
but
right.
if the answer to every efficiency solution is we just need to hire more people, then we're not really saving money. We're actually just adding more to the budget. So I think that's just one thing that might be interesting to kind of track as you kind of go along. And I would love y'all to look at that 4-day work week sort of study, because it seemed like some departments might be open to piloting it out and then actually testing assumptions of, can we fill, vacant positions quicker? And if we do, we have greater capacity that's already budgeted, and therefore we are being more efficient and productive.
Yes, and I'm just going to jump in real quick as it relates to the work week. You're probably aware when we brought all the employees back, we did bring them back with the ability to work 2 days from home. So,
That's still in effect?
yes, no,
Okay.
that's in
That is an
effect
option.
now. As of about 60, 90 days ago.
Okay.
When we rescinded the old executive order allowing people to work from home, we updated and modernized, quite frankly, our work schedule. So employees are able to work 2 days from home.
Okay.
And then 3 days in the office. And any more than that requires my signature.
So just that's my last question, just to acknowledge that I think if that's something that we could track, if that's something that is helping with productivity, that'd be great to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll have Commissioner Long Spears, and then we have Commissioner Massar that is waiting on the phone. And, we do have an agenda to go through. If you all would consider that in your questioning, we have an agenda to go through, as well as 2 other discussion items at the end. Hopefully we'll get to Commissioner Long Spears.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I wrote all of my comments out so that I would be efficient
Okay.
with your time. I'm on the Summary Insights Ops Committee slide number 1 around the progress is concentrated in a few departments. You note here departments of facilities and fleet have the most recommendations marked as not started. We have a new director, Director Gordon. Have you had a chance to meet with him yet and just kind of pick his brain or kind of elevate to him what's happened so far in this process? And maybe Director Gordon could provide a little bit more insight. He's been with the county for a long time under fleet, but now he's the big boss.
Yeah, we did actually convene Director Gordon. I think this was back in December, and that was a great meeting, to your point, and we got a lot of insight. We received feedback and participation this cycle from most departments. There is a slight skew here. We didn't get an update from, is it fleet or facilities? I think it might be facilities. We didn't get an update from facilities, so that might be slightly skewing that. We are going to follow up to see if we can bring their insights in and then update this. But I'm trying to go back to the point, marked as not started. This again is another area of exploration where I don't want to make assumptions. We just need to go speak to those departments and get a better understanding of what their blockers are, because that is somewhat of an anomaly that they have not started. Thank you for calling that out.
Of course. So by the time you present again, I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to talk to facilities.
Absolutely.
And it won't be or feel skewed. Okay, my next point is same slide, number 2. Budget uncertainty is likely pushing recommendations into delay or longer term horizon. So I certainly get that. That's the environment that we're in now. But what popped out at me is under number 3, the biggest challenge identified relate to org structure challenges. Then you note that suggesting a concentration of issues related to recruitment, high turnover rates, and vacancies. And I believe that all 3 of those issues actually kind of bleed up into that budget uncertainty as well. So, and the reason I guess I lift this up is recruitment. Is it why? Is it we're not paying enough for that position? Our benefits aren't good enough, which impact the budget if we were to try to approve it. I believe that the same goes for high turnover rates. Fulton has a higher salary for that position, so they move over there. Yet again, impacting our budget and that budget uncertainty. And a similar note for vacancies. And so my question is, the administration back earlier this year has proposed in a desire to explore the potential of a $500,000 rate increase for housing, animal services, et cetera. And this might be a COO question. Are you hoping, or is it intended that wrapped up within that proposed $500,000 rate increase might address some of these budget uncertainty challenges under the Ops Committee purview?
Yes, I think, well, we look at it really countywide, Commissioner. So wherever possible, where there's budget uncertainty, whatever we can address in the half mil. We hope that that is sufficient. Understand, as it relates to recruitment and retention, we're in the middle of a pay-in-class study. We anticipate that when that's complete at the end of the summer, that will inform what more may be needed, whether that's through additional revenue or shifting of revenues, or they're sufficient as a result of the half mil. We'll have to see at that time.
Thank you for that. And then just to wrap up, one of my stated goals this spring and early summer is to re-review. I did read that ginormous assessment, and it was very well done, by the way, but re-review it through the lens of looking for like operational efficiencies where we can tighten up our budget so that we don't feel compelled to pursue a half mil rate increase. And so again, I just want to say that was a very good report, but when I first read it, I really was looking for more of like this operational assessment. I look forward to re-reviewing it, to seeing if I can glean any areas that we could, and I've suggested this for FAB, is that we could go and determine, hey, can we cut here, cut the fat there, so that we can cut the budget down where we don't have to pursue a half mil rate increase. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Right. And just to address that, there's a study being conducted by MGT that may get to some of that. It's a cost allocation plus a cost containment and revenue enhancement study, and that's ongoing right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Messiah.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Just briefly again, thank you so much for the update. Because this information is only as good as our ability to actually implement it. With that being said, just looking at the slide, and I think it was number 3 that recognized position at one of which was the vacancies. And so just recently, in terms with the recommendations for resources, presumably those are in and around, at least some will be in and around being able to fulfill or fill those vacancies and help with recruitment. So just, earlier in the year, we spent $24 million on, or allocated $20 million on temporary, or permanent in some instances, employment opportunities. And so when they're just based on that, presumably not having an opportunity to really assess, since we've done that, will there be an update, or how will that, or how would you expect that to sort of play into things, just allocating those monies and providing, a provision to be able to meet some of those vacancies and those employment needs?
Commissioner Messiah, one more time, you mentioned a $24 million allocation earlier
Correct.
this year, and I'm trying to recall specifically what that was aimed at.
So that was aimed at, and that was a budget request, and it was aimed at providing temporary and in some instance permanent opportunities for employment. So that was money in order to fill roles that we had need to be filled in terms of employees. Originally, the budget, the request was for $30 million, and then it was an agenda item, and then it was $24 million that was asked
Yes, ma'am.
during a substitute.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the board approved the $24 million.
Yes,
And so that, again, was for temporary, and in some instance, permanent
Right.
positions within the
ma'am.
county.
Yes, ma'am. So, okay, so I got it. So what you're referring to the contract for temporary employment services. So when we hire temporary employees, whether it be in libraries, parks, elections, or throughout the organization, but those are the 3 major business units that hire those positions. So I got, and so repeat the final part of your question. I understand what you're talking about.
Sure, no worries. So it was temporary and in some instances permanent. So essentially it was ensuring that we had an opportunity to have some of these vacancies, positions
Yes.
filled.
Okay.
Again, whether it's on a temporary basis or
Yes, ma'am.
through permanent opportunities. So as it relates to one of the challenges being vacancies, just curious as to how, or interested as to how we believe the allocation of those funds and the attempts to fulfill those vacancies will actually take place, and whether or not, it's going to resolve some of the, the challenges that we have, particularly in that area.
Yes, ma'am.
And since we're talking about, implementation of the suggestions that are being made, will we need to do some type of or get some type of an update as to see how impactful that is?
Yes, ma'am.
Or, had that already been considered in, the implementation? Had that already been considered in conjunction with that $24 million in the added opportunities in terms of employment?
Yes. So
how will it make a difference? How impactful will it be?
It will be very impactful, and it speaks to really a philosophy of this administration, the CEO and the administration, wherein the objective, of course, is to get the work done. So in those instances where there's hard to fill positions, we may find that we're drawing against the temporary employment or temporary service contracts with the various firms to fill positions, whether it's on a temporary basis or a long-term basis. And we also find in certain areas, whether it's in planning, business license, facilities, that doesn't necessarily matter, where we go and fill hard to fill positions with essentially outside entities, so contracting with other firms to provide those. So part of our philosophy is to address things as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, credit to our Chief Procurement Officer, a number of her staff currently are contracted through the National Government of Purchasing Professionals, NGIP. So that is something that we're doing to try and plug holes in the organization.
I can appreciate that. And so as it relates specifically to the M&J operational assessment report, though, will there be a need for an update as it relates to that being an area of challenge, or how do we expect that? Were they aware of it? And so I'm speaking specifically as it relates to this report and the implementation, not just in general,
right,
but just as it relates to this report, since we're using this as a guide to help assess what we're doing, when and how.
Yep. Thanks, Commissioner Messiah. So yeah, we've built a variety of different data dashboards, and we are tracking vacancy rates across the entire county. We have not gotten to a point where we have established a cadence on how often this data needs to be refreshed, but that is something that we're going to establish in the next couple of weeks. So the short answer is yes, we are monitoring workforce levels throughout this process. And it actually, I'll just wrap by quickly saying it connects to what Commissioner Terry was mentioning around tracking efficiency, productivity, and then comparing that to some of the staffing levels, right? That is something that we're doing.
Thank you so much. You're back to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't have anything right now for you, but thank you for being here. We look forward to your next report to the board.
Thank you all.
Mm-hmm. To the board, I'm sorry, to the committee. Okay. So with that, let's get into some of our agenda items. I'm going to, excuse me, I don't think we're going to get through the full agenda. So we're going to skip pages. If we could go over to page 3, item 0243. Page 3. Okay, 0243 is a renewal contract numbers you can read. Attached services, first renewal or second option to renew for use by the Public Works Fleet Management. This contract consists of outside tire repair services for county vehicles for emergency road incidents. This request seeks to exercise the first renewal option through May the 31st, 2027, awarded to Southern Tire Mark LLC, Setco Inc., doing business at Setco Solid Tie, Atlanta Commercial Tie, and Action Tie, total amount not to exceed $510,000.
Hi, good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Commissioners. As read, this is a renewal contract, first renewal for tire services. This contract is utilized for roadside tire services, that's both on-road and off-road, and also for after-hours tire services for the county.
Okay. Are there any questions, concerns? Okay.
Is this just for the service vehicles or all county vehicles?
All county vehicles and pieces of equipment.
And pieces of equipment. Okay, wonderful. I yield back.
Okay. If there's nothing further, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 0243.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That item's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is 260324. That's innovation in technology. All commission districts. It's a change order to change order number 1 to contract number 1358690, Cloud Solution and Services for Use by Finance, Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Innovation and Technology. This contract consists of purchasing off the competitively led statewide contract number, you can read the number, to purchase OpenGov software for budget development, management, reporting, and transparency. This request seeks to increase contract funds for continued use of OpenGov software awarded to Carasoft Technology Corp., amount not to exceed $413,451. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So we're seeking to increase the contract funds for the third year of OpenGov software. OpenGov is the budgeting software used by OMB for budget management, as well as it's used by the various departments for budget submissions.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Okay, Robert.
I have mentioned this in years past, just to hear it again, or say it again. If you go to other jurisdictions' websites, I believe they use OpenGov, and they have where you can put in your address, and you can see what your tax bill is, and you can see by department where that money is being spent almost on a daily basis. Does this get us there? Or is this strictly
Not this
internal
contract,
for,
no. This
intended
is
for
simply
internal?
for budgeting, this contract.
Good afternoon. So OpenGov has a whole different, several different platforms. And one is for tax and revenue, so I'm not sure if those jurisdictions are using that.
Okay.
And that might be why they have that capability. There are some other capabilities within the budgeting platform that we're working to implement, just allowing more of the reporting and transparency portion of it. But I don't think that feature specifically is part of it.
What would be a way you would suggest that the commission could get that onto the agenda, where you guys would look into that and be able to report back on those results for us? Again, I, as a taxpayer myself, think it's very valuable to see, where the money's going to the different departments. Please answer the question.
Okay. For tax commissioner, they use Tyler, IAS World, where we do have that link off the website where you can view your taxes, but it doesn't correlate with where that money is going. We can speak to Tyler to see if in OpenGov to see if that integration is available.
Okay.
And go from there.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you had a question?
For clarity, the $413,000, that's in addition to what we've already been paying annually, or is that for the third year?
That's for the third year. That's the annual maintenance for OpenGov software
Okay, so
for year
not,
3.
not additional services, just an additional year is 413,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are we looking to do a new contract? Is that why we're essentially buying an additional year? We're working toward a new contract where we can incorporate some of those additional services being requested?
I don't think we're doing a new contract. I don't think the budget department is looking for another solution as well. So we will need a new contract after year 3 for a multi-year contract, for a 3-year contract, if we intend to stick with OpenGov, which is what I believe OMB wants to do.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to get around to is, and this has come up before, the change orders and extensions and all the different things that we've been doing recently to keep up with the services. Essentially, is there a strategy for it so there won't be another request to increase funds or increase contract terms, just in general, but speaking about this contract?
Hi, Commissioner.
Yes.
Just assisting. There is an effort. Every department is different on how their budget works and what they have available to spend. Some choose not to do multi-year because that means they kind of have to commit that. And others do get a quote or a proposal for multiple years. But we are talking to all the departments that are using OpenGov. We're also trying to get on a more universal schedule with them because we have a lot more usage with OpenGov, using their different modules. So that is a conversation we've already been having with IT. And so there is going to be a more structured organization with all of the OpenGov purchases.
And with that, will we have an opportunity to see about any additional services that have been requested?
I think it's just a matter of you guys asking about that and then the research being done to see if that's a viable option.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to second what Commissioner Patrick was talking about. I think, and we've spoken about this a few times about there being like a taxpayer receipt, basically. And this year seems like a really good year to kind of preemptively have that very accessible. I imagine that we will get lots of questions about why am I paying all this money and where is it going? I think that, you know, if you don't come to every meeting, you know, you can be forgiven for not knowing the answer. So, you know, Zach and TJ, and what I'll commit to on the FAB committee side is we'll sort of have some discussions over how we can kind of use OpenGov and or other ways to kind of create that taxpayer receipt. And my humble opinion would be to include it as an insert also in our property tax mailing notification. So people, when they get something in the mail, there's something that they can look at that's like, here's sort of the basic, but then go to this OpenGov website or somewhere else where they can really see exactly line by line. Does that make sense, TJ? You know
Yes,
what I'm talking about?
and we can discuss that with the tax commissioner. I know that we've done something similar with eHost in the past. And I will say too, I remember several years ago, Commissioner Patrick, your request to have sort of a chart that showed a dollar bill and then how much was going towards everything.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I did that, and we can do that again. It's not a built-in feature of OpenGov, but we can definitely put that together.
Yeah.
But we've also been talking, COO and I, about having a demo of OpenGov, maybe at a FAB committee meeting coming up to show you basically how you access everything online, kind of what its capabilities are.
Okay.
And we can discuss too, you know, any features that the commissioners would like to see at that point.
Okay. I do appreciate the dollar bill. I think the one next step for that dollar bill, because I think you kind of talk about like where the funds go, right? Hospital, police, fire, general. I think what we're probably talking about is actually more granular. You know, like here's how much actually is going into E911. Here's how much is actually in the planning department, you know? And so it kind of like actually breaks it down to like, you know, $4 of your tax bill goes to co-compliance. Right. You know, just so people understand sort of how like exactly like the ratio. So it's a very clear understanding of like what you're paying for in a very personal sense. So maybe that's something we can explore.
I think it's doable in terms of showing the percentages, especially with the
Yeah,
property
break it down
taxes.
even further.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just can't do it individualized for each, taxpayer, but
Well, you can if there's a percentage.
as a percentage, correct, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. Yeah, thank you. Madam Chair.
Okay, yeah, if there's no further questions, is there a motion?
I move to approve item 0327.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that item is approved. The next item is 260328. It's a change order. Number 3 to contract number 2000207, Network Professional Services and Monitoring, annual contract with 4 options to renew for use by the Department of Innovation and Technology. This contract consists of providing managed network services and maintenance support for the countywide voice and data network. This request seeks to increase the contract term through September the 30th, 2026, and funds awarded to MGT Impact Solutions, amount not to exceed $491,450.13.
Yes, we're requesting to extend the contract for 6 months and in the amount of the $491,450 with MGT Impact Solutions. The primary purpose for extending it is to allow MGT to renegotiate their state contract to include additional SKUs or services that DeKalb County is paying for separately currently. So they're anticipating about 6 months before that state contract can be finalized. So that's the purpose of the extension.
Any questions? Okay, no questions, is there a motion?
I move to approve item 2026-0328.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion is approved. Now we're gonna go to page 4, 0439. Okay, that is Commission Districts 1 and 6. Okay, it's a low bid invitation, airfield, crack seal and remaking at the DeKalb Peachtree Airport for use by the DeKalb Peachtree Airport consists of repairing, sealing, and remaking the airport runway and surface treated pavement for the purposes of maintaining the safety of aircraft that are taken off and landing on the runways. Recommended award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Highlight Airfield Services, amount not to exceed $835,275.45.
I am available to assist PDK any way I can. The request is, as you stated, it is to repair the runways, the pavement, for $835,275.45. It was a low bid. We had 3 submissions, and we are recommending to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Highlight Airfield Services.
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. So I see the dollar amount on this is $835,000 and change. And then if we go back to page 2 of our agenda, 0388, the total award, I guess, was $936,702 from the state, and we kicked in $234,000. Is this literally the on the one hand, we're receiving the funds from the state and committing to it, and then this is phase 2 where we have the contract to do the project? And then if it is, just sort of an understanding of the $100,000 difference or so from what the award was in 0388 to what the spend is in 0439.
I'm going to have to defer
That's
to
a good
PDK.
question. Okay, hey, all right. Okay. Next Tuesday? Okay, all right.
Okay.
Those are my questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the same question, but if we could also get answered, since the amount required is less, does that mean our match will be less as well? Or is it simply based off that 936 that's being offered or allocated?
I'm going to defer that to PDK as well.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. CL, it seems as if there's no one here to answer those questions.
Right, it looks as if the one is the accepting the allocation from the state, the other's awarding the contract funds. But the issue of the $100,000, I'm trying to reconcile as we speak.
Okay. If we need to have a substitute for Tuesday, does that work for the committee?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that works for me. Does that work for you?
Your call.
Not really.
Not really. I see the smile.
Well, let me,
We can bring
well,
the item
it's
back.
not
I mean,
really
we're on the
2 to
phone.
1. I mean, what it's saying is that if we get the information answered before Tuesday, satisfactory, that we will approve it, possibly. But if we don't, it's ready to be on the agenda, but we won't approve it because we won't have the necessary information. So, and evidently this is, if it depends, I mean, if this is something for the safety of the planes coming in and out, I would assume that the director would have been here. But if he's not here, and I'm not questioning why he's not here, but if we want to put it on the agenda, as you mentioned, Robert,
Yep.
and then if we get the necessary information, we can make informed decisions. And if you don't have the information, you can vote against it.
Right, so if you could move it pending,
Yeah,
pending additional information.
yeah.
That's reasonable.
That's reasonable. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve 0328 on the condition of the funding discussion,
Second,
on the dollar amount discussion.
Okay.
And again, that's the disparity between the 936 that was awarded versus the 835 that the contract is for.
Right, and then we're on
Right.
item 0439.
Yeah,
My apologies.
439.
My apologies. Motion
Pending
to,
additional information.
pending additional information, motion to approve 0439.
Zach, and also how that impacts our match, since we don't need the full
We'll
936.
reconcile it all.
Okay, all in, did we get a second?
Second.
All in, okay, did you have a question?
Well, just, I mean, can we just get some information about, I mean, I assume there's like a contingency or something. That's probably why the numbers aren't exactly right.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's approval on condition with additional information. And the sooner that you get that information, the better. Okay, the next item we'll skip down is 260414. That is the change order. All commission districts, change order number 2, the contract number 1349754, installation of data voice and multimedia cabling. This is the annual contract before options to renew by the use of the Department of Innovation and Technology. This contract consists of providing low voltage and security camera installation, thank you, as well as move additions and changes of data, voice, and multimedia cabling at various facilities within the county. This request seeks to increase contract funds for the continuation of necessary cabling and installation at various county facilities awarded to RFB Communications, Inc., amount not to exceed $500,000.
Hello again. We are, like you said, looking to increase the contract for RB Communications. RB is responsible for performing all of the low voltage cabling for the county. Whenever a department moves from one location to the next, or if somebody needs a TV hung on the wall, they come out and run the cabling and perform those, or even security cameras. They install any of those devices.
Okay, any questions? Okay, if none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve 0414?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that item is approved. We're gonna go back to page 0260 on page 2. Okay, this is the change order to number 5, the contract number 1258332, change order number 2. The contract number, you can read the contract, and change order number 1, the contract, you can read the contracts. Soil and material testing, survey and services, and structural analysis for use by the Department of Facility Management, Recreations, Park and Cultural Affairs, Public Works, Transportation, Public Works, Road and Drainage, Watershed Management, and Planning and Sustainability. These contracts consist of providing geotechnical and geo-environment evaluations for the engineering, constructability, and/or potential environment risks of multiple sites throughout the county. This request seeks to ratify previously issued purchase orders to the amount, in the amount of $56,148.82 for contract number 1258333. This further request seeks to increase contract funds for DWM and P&S awarded to Matrix Engineering Group, Inc., Corporate Environment Risk Management, Acura Engineering and Consulting, and Unifying Consulting Group. Amount not to exceed $436,148.82.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Yes, this agenda item, this is for the on-call soils and materials testing companies. And they also perform survey and structural design and analysis. And there are 4 on-call consultants who you just read that are in the agenda item. This request is to increase the cap and to ratify a previous purchase order in the amount of $56,148.82. And this is a ongoing 5-year contract. And we just got to the point where we need to raise the caps because we spent up to the cap limit.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, is there a motion? Okay, I'm sorry.
And is this an increase for an annual cap or for the 5-year?
It's on the 5-year cap. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of the term of the 5 years.
Okay, I yield back.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve 0260.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that item is approved. 260391 is a change order. Let's see. Okay. 26090391, change order number 1, the contract number 1323437, Pest Control Services, annual contract with 2 options to renew for use by the Department of Facility Management. This contract consists to ratify a previously provided contract term increase This contract also seeks to increase contract funds and terms through September the 30th, 2026, awarded to Powerhouse Termite and Pest Control, amount not to exceed $65,000. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. This contract, we are requesting to extend it another 6 months and add $65,000 to cover the monthly services for pest control for all the county buildings.
And I'm assuming this contract is waiting to go to purchasing?
It's being rebid right now.
It's being
Yes,
rebid.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions? Okay, if none, is there a motion?
I move to approve item 2026-0391.
Second.
Okay, we got room for one more. And so I'll go back to page 3. Page 3. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a motion and a second, and all in favor? Aye. Okay. And we go now to, that's approved. We go now to 0394. And that's all commission districts. It's the renewal contract number 1367915, light bulbs, fixtures, lamps, and billets contract. Second renewal of 2 options to renew for use by the Department of Facility Management. This contract consists of the purchase of light bulbs, fixtures, lamps, and bullets. This request seeks to ratify previously provided contract term increase. This request also seeks to exercise the second renewal option through February the 28th, 2027, awarded to Summit Lighting Solutions, amount not to exceed $125,000.
Yes, ma'am. We are requesting to extend the contract another year, renew the contract for Summit Lighting Solutions, and also requesting $125,000 be added to the contract. And this is for the purchase of light bulbs and fixtures and ballast for all the buildings.
Okay, this is the second renewal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay.
I just want to clarify, the renewal would have been for $125,000, or you're asking for an additional $25,000? Just based on the language you used, I want clarity.
It's just for the renewal is $125,000 for the renewal year.
Gotcha. Okay, I yield back.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve item 2026-0394.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all that we're gonna have time for today. And, I'm sorry. And what number is that? Oh, that's the first one. I'm already at 219, and that's gonna be dependent upon Earth's share. I've already run over, and just like I'm not getting to the Blue Book, and I'm not getting to, what's that?
Charter review.
Yeah, the charter review. I only got so much time. So that's left up to our Earth chair. Well, you said quick, but.
And it was some of the stuff that we talked about the last time. That's fine. We can go through that. Our ERP's agenda isn't too exhaustive, so
Okay.
just a few minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to 260286, all commission districts, a resolution of the Board of Commission of DeKalb County, Georgia, reaffirming the county's prior authorization to seek recovery of costs of impoundment and care for the court-held dogs pursuant to Official Code of Georgia, annotated 411-98, urging the DeKalb County Law Department to resume filing costs of court petitions and to create a court-held dog coordinator. And who's gonna speak on that? And there's no court-held dog coordinator right now. Is that right, Mr. COO?
That's correct. There's not. I believe that's something that the law department manages, but there's not a dedicated position to that.
Okay. And since the law department managed that, do you all feel a dedicated coordinator with extra costs is needed? Or do you feel that it's something that the law department can continue?
As I have followed this, Madam Chair, the law department now has a paralegal position that will serve in this capacity for the county. They will provide the necessary labor, quite frankly, to do the research, coordinate the reporting and monitoring of what's happening with the court-held dogs in our shelter, and that will support the attorneys who are working on cost of care petitions, motions to dispose and the like. And equally importantly, I think it will help us to provide information on a regular, patterned basis, hopefully monthly, quarterly, so that the amount of information you guys are bombarded with from the general public will be countered by internal information and reporting. And Commissioner Spears, I hope that's a fair description of what I understood to be your vision in asking for this position being added.
Speak. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I did sponsor this item. I appreciate the Ops Committee Chair and certainly the ERPS Committee Chair for allowing us to hear this and eat into some of her time. So yes, absolutely. So our goal was to establish a position within the law department, and that is something that we did include in the approved 2026 budget as a paralegal position. We also included in the 2026 budget a court dog coordinator position in police services. So those appropriations have already been made. And I do, again, just want to thank you guys so much for being open to this. We have certainly, you got the ball rolling late last month, and I'm so happy that there has been some movement there. But I do believe that with this new position, to monitor the process, to help with just some of the red tape that is created with moving these dogs along so they're not stuck in the shelter forever and ever. But I do think that new position will have a huge impact on it.
So is that the new position in the law department? Is that the new position in the police department that you are? Okay. Is that the new position in the law department or the new position in the police department that this particular agenda item is?
This particular agenda item is focused on the paralegal role in the law department.
Okay.
During the budget planning process, that is where I bubbled up that a second position that could work in tandem with the law department. And also, Madam Chair, our interim county attorney did email, and I've distributed to you guys, just an update, an amended version of the resolution with some very minor tweaks. I believe that he can speak to that. However, Commissioner Bolton, at the last time this was discussed, there was a question, and maybe you could just advise on this briefly, is around the terminology. So right now it reads a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of DeKalb County, Georgia, reaffirming the county's prior authorization, blah, blah, blah. So I believe that what Commissioner Bolton, and correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, is that you had hoped it would read a reaffirmation of the Board of Commissioners of DeKalb County's prior authorization to seek recovery. I'm open to that friendly amendment if that feels better to you. And our interim county attorney agrees with that, just retitling this.
I don't have a problem with that language,
Okay.
Dr. Bolton.
And I'm just going to talk through it one more time just because we have questions up here. I was taking the position that the county attorney and his office had already started working on some things. So I would have liked to see it discuss or re-indicate a reaffirmation of what's currently existing, whereas it reads a reaffirmation of what was previously authorized. So we were just trying to demonstrate that, of course, this is something that was authorized previously. The county attorney's office is actively working on it and reassuring the community that they're going to continue to work through it. So just a bit of wordsmithing there.
And if I may, I just think for the sake of efficiency, I'd like to touch a few of the tweaks that I offered Commissioner Spears because I think they're helpful. And Commissioner Spears, I'm receiving, you're handing them to your colleagues as approval and acceptance of those suggested changes. We added continue instead of resume to emphasize the fact that we're at it. If you come down, the sixth whereas clause, we note that it was the second half of 2025, just as a general matter, where there was some problems getting this work done, and it has been resumed. And I'd like to remind all of you, there was some celebration of the progress where we reported some success with animals. I know we said 4, I believe it was either 6 or 7 actually, through our work already this year. The next one is 2 whereas clauses down. We say instead of resuming, continuing, because we've already started this work. And then under section 2, we add promptly resume and or continue. And the issue is we did a lot of preliminary work that resulted in, again, 6 or 7 animals being freed up without actually getting to the point of filing. So I left in resume and noted and or continue. And then section 5, we changed because of the dynamic of getting someone up to speed within 30 days of the creation of a court-held dog coordinator position or the adoption of this resolution, whichever is later, and monthly thereafter. You've now had the creation of the position. We've got to get it filled. And we are working to get that position filled and get someone up to speed to do the reporting. And I note that we have key information identified by the county attorney, such as the following. We're going to monitor how this goes, and we're going to provide information that we think is germane to the issues that you've been dealing with, and that will help you respond to the public push for activity by the county in this area. And it may not be limited to what's in front of you, and it will evolve, I'm quite sure, as our animal shelter evolves and these issues evolved. We will adjust with that in an ongoing basis moving forward. Okay.
The language, could the language be a, create a court-held dog coordinator position within the law department so that it's specified where that position is? Because if it's just open, it could be in anywhere.
May I come? You mean like the public safety division of the law department? Include that?
I would prefer, I'm open to it saying the law department. I want to be very, very careful about that specificity. Once we get into operations generally, and this is a reporting mechanism that is unique to law, which is a unique area for the county. It is different than most departments because of the county attorney's requirement to have dual reporting to both the commission and the CEO's office. So I would leave it at law. I am an interim county attorney. We need to be flexible about any future evolution of the department and the change of the teams and the like. But the position's there. We will work to make sure as a group that the work gets done. It is the public safety team that is successful in the work right now and has been in the past. And this person's being groomed to work in that area. So if that changes, that shouldn't change the reporting, and I wouldn't want to bog that down with this resolution. So
Okay,
the
so
law
you
department is where I would leave it, Commissioner.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
instead of going further like Commissioner Long Spears said
Okay.
and saying the
This
public
is
safety
yeah.
team within the law department, I would leave it general to the law
The law
department.
department. Is that okay?
Of course, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Also, Madam Chair, and I know you want us to quickly be done, one other friendly amendment we could make is that the seventh whereas lists the status as of January 25th. If, and this goes to what Commissioner Bolton, I think, was trying to get at earlier, is that we could, by the next board meeting, amend that whereas statement to also include the progress that has been made. And Interim County Attorney Phillips sent us an update on March 10th, but who knows? Maybe we have made some more progress since then, or will before the meeting next week, so we can actually demonstrate within the resolution that having a focus on this has already improved the process, but actually creating that position with the law department would further improve. And so again, kind of going in that direction of not having this court dog challenge any further. How do y'all feel about that friendly amendment?
I like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I would beg your indulgence and just ask us, allow us to give you a paragraph
Sure.
before you walk into that meet. Maybe not a full paragraph sentence, but we'll give you the
You can
update
go ahead and
language
you
here.
can wordsmith it. How
Okay.
about that?
We'll-
You don't
we'll
have to
handle
deal
it.
with me. Okay. Great. You will know what the update is. Okay.
We want to make sure the community knows.
We're making
how
progress.
actively and effectively, efficiently, that you're working, that progress is important.
Oh, okay.
Robert.
So we good?
Yes,
with
ma'am.
The
All good.
law department, okay.
I got a quick question, and I apologize if this was addressed while I was reading the resolution again. Paragraph 5 or section 5 under reporting, it mentions 30 days within the creation of the position or adoption of the resolution. Is that a functional, feasible number?
We intend to do our best to meet it.
Okay.
Right now, the latest possible date is going to be after you vote on this. And we're going to work to get a report out, whether the position's filled or not.
Okay.
It is a burden without the position. But just as we sent a March 10th status update, we're going to work to get information to you, simply because, as Dr. Bolton alluded to, I know you guys are getting questions from the public, and you need this information to properly educate your constituents about what's happening, as does our CEO. I know all 8 members of the governing authority need the info, so we'll work to get it to you.
Okay, all right.
Great.
Okay, okay. Okay. Did you have some? Oh, okay. Okay, so with that, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the substitute for 0286.
Okay, is that with the amended language?
That'll be the.
With the friendly amendments?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
so,
moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.